everybody, welcome back. We are here making the abstract face project. So much fun, it's gonna be awesome. Now, first things first, let's talk about supplies. What do we need for this project? Well, in our kit, we need 2 sheets of 8x10 drawing paper. We need acrylic paint, our water cup filled with water. We need colored pencils, which you should have at home. So find your favorite colored pencils. And of course, later on, we're gonna need some scissors and some glue to glue it all together. So you can also use Sharpie markers or white gel pen to add interest if you want to, but those are the main ingredients, what we're going to be using. The first step for this project is to paint our 2 main sheets of paper. One of them we want to look dark. Do you see the background here and how dark it looks? It needs to look dark. The other paper needs to look light, and that's going to be paper that we end up cutting out into wonky leaf-like shapes, and we'll use scrap edges and things left over. But the first thing we're going to do, check it out, is paint one of them to look light and one of them to look dark. So using our paint here in the paintbrush, I am going to, I only need 1 paper right now. We are going to make one of these papers look light. Now I know it's supposed to look like leaves when I'm done. So I'm gonna use all these colors and I want it to look light. That's gonna be the thing in my head over and over again. I want this paper to look light. I want it to look light. I want it to look light. So all of the choices I'm making are to keep the overall look of this particular paper. See, look, oops, starting to get dark. So I'll need to put something on top of it to counteract that and make it go light. See that? If you want to rotate your paper around to get a different view, or if you're typically making one kind of shape on one side and you want to change it up, that's one great way to do it. I know that we're going to be cutting this up into small pieces. So I'm trying really hard as I'm painting not to paint any one section too big of one color, right? So what happens if I'm just left with a giant section of one color when it could be all these other different ones going on? So I want to just make sure that I'm constantly thinking about this paper that I'm painting right now. Can you guess, is this the light one or the dark one? I think I've already said it 100 times. You're right. If you said the light paper, yep, that's what this one is. I'm trying to cover all of the paper. And as you're painting, is there any one section that looks too bright? Or, I mean, not bright, that's the wrong word. Is there any one section that looks too dark? Is there any one little area that if that tiny part gets cut out, is it gonna look unfinished? Is it the paper? I wanna make sure that I'm covering up every inch of this whole thing, and that I don't have any bits of paper left. Also, I'm trying really hard not to over mix. That means blend and blend and blend and blend. See how I'm painting in one area? Blend and blend and blend. See how now all the cool colors that I had there, they're all gone. You want to blend a little. Blending a little is good. If all you do is blend and blend and blend, then all of the colors you have on here go away and are replaced with one icky color. I'm going to flip it around again so I don't have to reach across my whole paper. I'm really excited of how this is starting to come out. You don't have to do all the blending on this paper. You can also, if you have a paper plate or something that the adults around you are saying is okay to mix paint on, you can mix it on there. So fun. I'm taking my final looks over all of the paper. I want to paint the entire thing. Not leaving any paper color behind. All right, what do you think? I don't think I missed any spots. Do you feel like overall it looks super light and not super dark? I hope so. Can't wait to see what you make. Don't forget to post your finished pictures or your in-progress pictures on your social media of choice and tag the studio. Or you can use the hashtag Little Sots Projects, LITTLESOTS projects. I'm wiping off all the excess paint I can. That's my trick for you. That's my tip. Psh, psh, tip. Bing, bing. And then once I've gotten all the excess out, that's when I finally go to my water cup to rinse it out. Because that way, most of my paint is on my paper towel, not on my water cup. Okay, so I'm gonna move this guy aside and get the next paper down. And this one is mostly gonna be dark. So I wanna use all my dark colors, but still I want it to look like greenery. Or a jungle. So I'm not really using white. I'm using my deep colors. I wonder if I use some of my orange in there, I can even get a richer color into my olive greens. Ooh, look how cool that looks. That's one of my other tricks I love to use, is when you want deep colors, shadowy colors, one of my favorite tricks to use is complementary colors. When you mix complementary colors together, they actually give you deep, beautiful browns. Even when I use this light green, the overall look is still pretty dark. Isn't it awesome? You don't have to use purple in this project, but I'm excited to. Feel like that's a really fun, deep color to surprise in there. Very unexpected, but still fun. Okay, once you have painted both your light and your dark, you're going to let it dry all the way, all right? So be sure to inspect all of your areas. You don't want any paper showing through. Here we go. I will see you when these are dry. Bye. Hey everybody, we are back and we are going to paint the next step, step 2 of the abstract face. So we have let this dry completely, our light paper and our dark paper. Remember, when you're done painting, the light paper should feel light and the dark paper should feel dark. So do you see the difference between the two? Even though we used light green in both of them and the dark green in both of them and that teal, that beautiful teal in both of them, this one looks way darker than this one, and that's the way it should be. And there are a couple of areas where I've gotten some paint flick off. That is totally fine. It's gonna be awesome when we're done, so don't freak out about that. We're gonna put the dark paper aside for right now and just concentrate on the light paper. And I'm gonna use a little small brush. If you don't have a brush, you can use actually the Q-tips that we have used for plan to use for the dotted landscape project. So if you don't have a small brush, this is a good cheat. But you'll need for this part of the project, acrylic paint and then a small brush, okay? So what we're gonna do now, if this bothers you that the paper is pulling up or wrinkling, you can actually put your paper between some old dish towels or some newspaper or some old paper and like 2 other plain pieces of paper, and you can actually iron it flat. I wouldn't use a super hot setting, just like a lower medium setting, and this will actually press pretty flat for you if that bothers you. If not, then no big deal, okay? So what I'm gonna do is paint across this whole thing little patches of pattern, like dots or lines or branches, and it's gonna be super simple, okay? It doesn't much matter what color you use. And we're just gonna paint some branches. Now I've got, look at this, I have some hairs sticking out that are gonna bother me. So I'm gonna cut those off. I don't know if that's what you're supposed to do, but it's bothering me, so I'm gonna fix it. So here we go. See how very little I'm dipping my brush into the paint? There we go. That's one branch. And then I'm gonna give it some space out, and I'm gonna do that again. And I am not really paying much attention to the perfection of the leaves. What I'm doing is just painting a small line. Let's zoom in so you can see that a little bit better. And then I'll use 2 brush strokes, one kind of a backwards parentheses and one a forwards parentheses. You don't even have to do that. You could just kind of press the brush down a little bit and pull in towards your stem, and that works too. And we're just gonna cover up our paper with that, okay? Anybody could do that, all right? Then, in some other areas, I will make little patches of lines and dots. Up to you, just any kind of pattern you like. I'm not wiping or cleaning my brush out. I'm actually just wiping it and getting another color. No big deal at all. All right, so I'm gonna zoom out a little bit and stop the video. I'm gonna put it in time-lapse mode, and we're just gonna cover our paper, leaving kind of medium-sized gaps everywhere, okay? So, see you next. All right, I'm back. Check the difference on this. Oops, sorry about that. Check the difference on this. Isn't this paper awesome? That's just what a little ironing did. Now, if you're younger, you got to do this with an adult present, all right? So let the adults help you iron this if you need to. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna definitely say the younger you are, like my girls, there's no way I'd let my girls iron by themselves. So you're gonna need an adult present, okay guys? So I'm gonna play around with some of these shapes. Ooh, and I'm digging this shape that's coming out here. And all I'm doing is kind of figuring out, what do I like? You can have your face be on any part of this side. Now what we're trying to do is lay these leaves out and lay these parts out and kind of really neat kind of areas. But you want to leave an opening where you want your face to end up being, where we're going to make our face happen, okay? So let's analyze the original. All right, do you see how we decided to have the face on this side? I'm going to have the face on this side again. So look, I'm leaving an opening here. And look at how we used space here to kind of glue these shapes down. Are you kind of seeing it now? Are you seeing it come to life? Oh wow, I put that there. And that almost makes another leaf shape. I like these openings. I do want to use my teeny tiny leaves. Just experimenting, everybody. I'm almost there, I can feel it. That might be it. Okay, now we're going to very carefully glue the pieces down. I'm kind of dipping my brush in a little bit of water to kind of thin my glue out a little bit so it goes on smooth. I actually really love using stick glue for this part. I think I'm going to use a stiffer brush. This is just how my glue is. Now, if you have stick glue, use that. I love me some stick glue, but I don't have any on me. This is about using what materials you have. Now a good thing to do is actually use scrap paper beneath your project. So as you're putting the glue down, you're not getting that glue all over your parents' table or the adults' table or wherever you are. It can always turn into a yucky, sticky mess. Super hard to clean up. I'm really trying to pay attention to this, not only where I'm gluing it, but what's happening in the spaces around it, because the background, the dark, is just as important as the light. The foreground and the background are equally important, and the spaces, the positive spaces of these leaves should be just as interesting as the negative spaces like this that are left behind by not painting. Trying to be very careful not to rip my paper as I'm gluing it, because there will be some areas of my paper, like where my brush is right now, that are super sensitive and delicate. So if I'm not careful, I could actually rip the paper, and I don't want that. Now, unless you're wanting your paper to be ripped, if you're wanting your paper to have ripped edges, then it's good to do it on purpose and have that planned, like as in using some scissors and tearing the paper to have that torn edge. That could be very interesting. I'd love to see your work. Don't forget to share it on your social media platform of choice and tag us, Little Sots. And then also, we would love for you to use the hashtag Little Sots Projects so we can keep track on all the social media about what's being posted from the studio. That is, you can't live long enough to come up with all of the cool ideas yourself. What I love is seeing the students that make art with me share their work with me, and I get so many awesome ideas from them, from you guys. So it's very important to me to see your work in a selfish way. I want to grow as an artist too. So it would mean the world if you would upload pictures of your work that you're doing with us and tag us in it and use the hashtag Little Sots Projects, because I just want to see all the wonderful things you're making and get ideas from you too. Sharing is definitely caring. When I'm done gluing all my pieces down, it's going to be very important to let this dry all the way before we move on to the next stage. So I'm actually going to, especially since I'm using wet glue, not stick glue, I'm going to put a heavy object, flat object like a heavy book, on top of this so that it can dry beneath it and none of my parts will peel up, and it'll dry nice and flat. We're trucking along. Now this piece, I want it to come off of the top because I'm gonna cut this extra piece off once it's all dry because there was too much of it. But I did want that shape. So I'm gonna be very careful not to put glue across the whole edge that I'm not gonna use. And I'm gonna put it down right about there. Press it really well. Got some residue over here I need to pick up. Now it's easy for me to clean up this table as I'm going because this table is a metal table and glue just rolls right off of it. But most tables aren't like that. So make sure you are gluing yours using a paper back, okay? So use scrap paper behind your leaves. So you don't get glue everywhere. Also, there's all kinds of glue out there. There's school glue, Elmer's glue, rubber cement, super glue, Super 77, E6000, craft glue, foam glue. There's glue for just about everything. Gorilla glue, wood glue, and each one of these glues has a very specific use. So make sure you're using glue for the correct project you're working on. All right, just this piece and one more left. Does anybody remember what our last step was to do before we're done? I'll give you one more minute to think of it. I'm gonna give you a hint. It involves something heavy. If you said putting something flat and heavy on our project so it dries flat and none of the pieces peel up, then you are correct. Once we're done gluing all of our pieces down, I'm going to put this project aside and I'm going to find a heavy object like a yearbook or a cookbook and put this in a nice spot where there's not going to be a lot of traffic. So I'm not going to put it in our playroom. I'm not going to put it in the kitchen table or somewhere that gets a lot of traffic. I'm going to put this somewhere safe with a heavy object on it. And I think, look at that, I've got all the pieces glued down. I'm so excited. I can't wait till this is dry and we can move on to the final stages of drawing and painting and putting in our awesome abstract face. This is going to be so much fun. So let this dry all the way. And if you're like me, you're going to need to put something flat and heavy on it. I'll see you next time, guys. Bye. Today to continue to work on our abstract face. We've already cut out all the pieces, glued everything down of the leaves and left an opening to make a really cool abstract face. Now I'm going to get the card and we're going to work on step 4, the card for the abstract face, and we're going to come up with ideas. Use this to help us paint out ideas for our face over here. Now you can, if you'd like to, lightly draw in colored pencil on here. I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna paint on it. I'm gonna start with my eyes and I'm gonna put them over here. It might actually, well, I say that, but it might actually help you guys if I kind of sketch it out a little bit. I love a couple of these. The whole point of how we drew these abstract faces was that we wanted it to be in the shape of a face. Oh, of course it's in the shape of a face. I'm sorry. We wanted them to be in the shape of leaves. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so it's easier for you to see what I'm doing. Now the thing is that you're not going to be able to delete or erase any of these leaves that I'm drawing. So it's going to be really important for you to, if you decide to draw directly on your paper, to be okay with the lines you make. That's why it's okay to just go straight into painting if you want to. I'm going to use a smaller brush, and I'm going to start in my eyes, and if I feel like it's too dark, I can always add a little bit of light, a little bit of white. And you know what my favorite thing about paint is that if you mess up, this is all just paint, and when it dries, I can paint right over it. So if I decide, oh man, I should have made those another color, then that's fine. I can do that when it dries. So I'm gonna leave my eyes there for a minute, and then I'm gonna paint the whites of my eyes. I'm going to get out my paper towel, and I'm gonna wipe off my excess paint and clean off my brush, dry it really well, because I'm not doing watercolors. I don't want a wet brush for this. Now, something that I thought was kind of fun with how we did this was that we actually didn't just paint in the closed areas, we painted in some of the open areas of the leaf, of the face as well. And I dipped my brush in the white, and now I'm going to use my lime green and kind of make this area a little bit lighter. Zoom out a little bit so you can see everything at once. If you feel like this is too see-through and you want to be able to have this not so see-through, you can do that. It may require being patient and letting this step dry all the way first, and then going back and adding more on another layer. There's no right or wrong way to do this. I mean, we're just making an abstract face. It's not perfect. I feel like I'm definitely going to want to go back in after it's dry and do some more. All right. I'm actually going to use orange and white on the lips here. Did you know that mixing certain shades of orange with white actually makes peach? How fun is that? I love peach. I can even decide, well, maybe I wanted a little bit more pink and kind of dip my brush just a teens into the red. And make some awesome things happen. So I've got the top of my lip done. I'm going to go in and do one layer for the bottom lip. I may decide I want to go back in and add more later. It all depends on how it all looks when I'm done. I can't wait to see what kind of face you make. Don't forget, when you're done, work with an adult to get yours. See if you can upload it. We would love to see yours. Get an adult to help get yours uploaded to their favorite social media platform, and tag us, Little Sots, little SOTS, and then use the hashtag Little Sots Project so we can see all of the work that you guys are doing. I know it's going to be beautiful. Now, I'm not going to end there. I'm going to go ahead and paint the whites of my eyes. Now, there's no rule on how to do this. So if you don't like how I'm painting mine, that's awesome. You can paint yours a different way. You can use whatever colors you want to paint. You can design whatever kind of face you want to design. It's completely up to you because this is your project. You are the artist here, not me. So it's important for you to make decisions that you like. Now, some of my light turquoise, teal, got painted over on the eye that I'm working on right now, this right eye. And I may decide once all this dries, instead of freaking out right now that I messed up, I'm gonna wait for it to dry and then go back and put paint to make that turquoise eye a little bit bigger than it is right now. So no big deal at all. So those are my two eyes. And if there's any other shapes that I want to make or paint out, see how we did that in the original one? We painted some areas here. You don't have to do that. You can if you want to. I actually really like how this looks right now, so I'm thinking I'm not going to do much painting to give you the edge of a face. I do think I'm going to grab some of my colors and kind of do some more patterns on my background here. I like that line. I wanted to continue that line across for a little bit. And then if there's any other areas where maybe you want to continue your plants off of the light color onto the dark color, you can do that. Or you can even add some more vines or more plants. Make awesome things happen. I can't wait to see where your imagination takes you with this project. Even if you want to do things like add sequins or Sharpie marker, that could be super fun. But you gotta wait for this step to dry and you'd be basically adding your own final step. So I'm actually moved on to step 5. I'll give us a little break so that we can have a little intro for it. All right, for the final step, we're just adding details, adding our final details onto this project. Whatever kind of patterns you want to continue to add. Maybe you want some of your vines to go both on on the background paper, but also on the foreground paper, so the dark paper and the light paper together, like I'm doing now with that orange. You don't have to. You certainly can if you want. I just think step back and look at your piece as a whole, and you kind of start to make awesome decisions based on what it is you like and what it is you want to see more of. When this dries that I'm adding, we're actually going to go in and add some, I'll do some of this in the areas that are already dry here. Check it out. We can use color pencil to outline some of our work and then to draw in other things. So let's see what we can do. So I'm just tracing a leaf shape here. And then, whoops, you got to be careful. That's why we want to wait till it's not wet anymore. I'm adding some dots. What kind of patterns do you like? I love collecting patterns. Patterns are some of my most favorite things to do on projects. You'll just have to play with your colors to determine which colored pencils are working well. Some color pencils draw better on dark than others. You may have a hard time actually seeing the yellow on the dark. That's okay. No big deal at all. If you are frustrated that you can't really see the yellow that you're making in a colored pencil, or a pink or a green, then consider switching gears, and instead of drawing it with the color pencil, use some of the paint, because that will definitely show up. So how fun is this? You can stop at any time. It's your project. When do you feel like it's done for you? I can't wait to see yours. Don't forget to tag us and upload your work to share. I love seeing other people's work. It really helps give me ideas for things I want to make, because I can't come up with all the ideas. I look everywhere, and I can't tell you how many times I've gotten ideas for projects and color schemes and awesome things just by looking at the work that other people make, especially my students. If you open yourself to it, there's so many things we can learn from each other. I just know it. So I kind of love what this looks like. Super fun. I'm just going to go in and this last step, just fix that eye I messed up earlier. Love it. And if you want to go back in over some of the areas that you drew, like maybe we originally drew this nose in pink. Whoops. If you want to go back in another color or a few other colors and color with it, you can do that. Just have fun. I can't wait to see what you make. Yay! You can even use some of the other supplies that we've used before, like the sequins or the white gel pen, your Sharpie markers. Just have fun with it. Look how awesome this is. I love both of these projects, the samples, how they turned out, and they're so different. I can't wait to see yours. Don't forget to share yours. See you guys next project.